What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope, Off the Mic Sports Network. So we are a week away from SummerSlam Sunday. It's happening starting Saturday on August the 2nd, and then we'll obviously continue to August the 3rd. One of the matches on Saturday, which is considered by many to be the weaker of the two cards, and we'll see if they add anything more to this in the next 5 or 6 days, leading into the show at MetLife Stadium over the course of 2 nights next weekend. Um, to me, listen. You guys know I'm a big advocate for the women's division. I spoke very glowingly about Evolution, and I think this women's division is outstanding. But the women's championship match between Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton, I have zero interest in it. I talked about it on the SmackDown post show. They did a match with Jade Cargill where she beat Chelsea Green, and then um, Tiffany Stratton rescues Jade Cargill for whatever reason. I don't understand it. Um, and here we are heading into this championship match, and really one of the key sticking points in this whole thing is Naomi held the Money in the Bank briefcase, and she didn't like either one of these women. But Naomi decided to cash in at Evolution and is now defending the Women's World Championship um, against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And I'm looking at this match, and really, we knew that this was the direction that was going since Jade Cargill won the Queen of the Ring. And I like Tiffany Stratton. I think she's got a long way to go in terms of her wrestling career, but given how little experience she's had, she's done a pretty good job. But this women's title run has sucked. She has not been booked very well as a champion. She's beaten some very noteworthy names. She beat Nia Jackson. I mean, the problem is that's really all she's faced. I mean, she beat Trish Stratus. She beat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. She beat Bayley early in her title run. But yeah, this title run ain't it, man. And I know a lot of people in the community, think she's a racist. Like, listen, I'm not going to go down that road. I think given she, in a lot of ways, almost she's been kind of set up to fail. And I think this is a growing problem with Triple H and the way he books his women's champions that are, not really Becky Lynch, the Intercontinental Champion. They don't know how to book champions to save their fucking lives. And with Naomi cashing in women's Money in the Bank at Evolution, which they needed to do, I get it. They lost a top heel in Liv Morgan, and they needed to do something shocking to close that show. They didn't want Rhea Ripley to lose, and clearly they knew, hey, if Rhea Ripley won it, some of the fan base wouldn't be happy about that either. So they went for the shocking moment in the middle of that incredible match, not in the middle, near the end. And Naomi steals the championship, and I think that's a great moment for Naomi because she absolutely freaking deserves it. But that really takes away from what's going on SmackDown. And if you ask me, I think there's 4 women's matches now on this show. If you ask me my level of interest, the women's tag team title match between Raquel and Roxanne and Charlotte and Alexa is infinitely more interesting than this Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton match. On top of that, both these women are very inexperienced. In terms of leading a match, you can't really count on them, and I think that's why Naomi being involved in this would have really helped it. But there's no story here. There's no build. Tiffany Stratton's run has been really underwhelming, and now it just feels like, hey, this is a very anticlimactic way to get the title to Jade Cargill and set up whatever they're going to do with her and Bianca Belair. That's really what this is. And as much as I love this women's division, I'm going to call out bullshit when I see it. And the fact that this title match, they've known about this really since the end of June. And here we are. We've literally had a month to build this. And, obviously, you had Evolution that you had to get through. Like, the schedule didn't help this. And also just the fact that the SmackDown women's division is not very good. It's not very good. And now with Naomi leaving, that leaves a huge void in this. And then you've got 2 of your other top stars, Charlotte and Alexa, in the tag team division. So this is easily one of the worst built matches for a major show that I've ever seen. It's easily the worst women's match on this show. And if these women don't blow people away, the crowd, I think, is going to shit all over this. Tiffany is an extraordinary athlete. Jade is a very extraordinary athlete too. They're both really inexperienced in the ring. I can count on Tiffany to do stuff, but now she is going to be leaned upon to carry this match. Because as physically imposing and as credible and as incredible as she looks, Jade Cargill is not a good wrestler. She's not. She's not. And her star power and her statuesque physique and the way that she looks is obviously a big reason why. And hey, she created herself as a star in AEW, and but in terms of this, it's like she's got her work. These women got their work cut out for them. We got one SmackDown before this show goes to the air, and the best they could come up with is, can they coexist? Because there's probably going to be some sort of tag team match between the Secret Service and Jade and Tiffany. And they've had just limited time to build this. Neither one is a particularly great promo. And then your biggest hook going into this match is, will Naomi cash in and screw over her friend? That's out the door. So whether that was the plan to always have her cash in at the end of Evolution, or if this was always supposed to be saved for SummerSlam, whatever it is, man, they're really screwed. And they've got their work cut out to blow people away in this match. And it's seriously, Tiffany's title run, which is now over 200 days, has not been good. It's not her fault. She just hasn't had a really good opposition. Even with Charlotte Flair, had no chemistry with her. And the match with Trish was great, but there was no build into it whatsoever. There was none. I mean, I don't know what you guys want me to say. Like, it's really amazing to me. Like, everybody thinks that I shit on the AEW women's division because, yeah, they haven't done a really good job of building things. But I'm going to be fair where fair is fair. And I know I said fair a lot there, but I don't like the build to this match. I don't know where this is going. You've got the Women's World Championship match is better. The Women's Intercontinental Championship match is better. And even the tag team titles, which have been irrelevant for 6 years since coming into existence. This is honestly the most I've ever been interested in those titles. That's more interesting than the Women's Championship. So through bad booking and really a shitty SmackDown women's division, this is honestly shaping up. If they're not careful, this could be one of the worst matches on the show. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I think they are two immensely talented athletes, but they are incredibly both inexperienced. They both started wrestling within the last 5 years. And Tiffany, I just don't look at as somebody who can carry a match. Same with Jade. So you needed Naomi really in this spot to really save this and cash in. But now she's not there. So what are you going to do that's going to make this even more interesting? One of them's going to probably have to turn heel, because that's the other part of this that really sucks. Tiffany and Jade are both incredibly out of place as baby faces. I'm just going to call it how I see it. Jade is much better when she has an edge. We saw it in AEW. Even though that title run didn't really mean much of anything, even though she set a record holding that title, the TBS title, for 500 days, she was much better as a heel. Tiffany Stratton, we saw it in NXT and early in her main roster. Tiffany is so much better as a mean girl. So that's the other part of this that really sucks. So maybe one of them turns heel, and that makes this a little bit more interesting, because I think that could create something. But really, the way I look at this, I would be stunned if Tiffany Stratton retains the title in this circumstance. If she retains by nefarious means, maybe that's it. But to me, this is all window dressing, because they desperately need, and I said this on my post show for SmackDown, that SmackDown women's division desperately needs Bianca Belair in the worst way right now. In the worst possible way. I have zero interest whatsoever in this match. And it's a shame, because I like both these women. I think they're both have the star power to carry themselves through this. But in terms of wrestling, it's just, and then the build itself, it's just, there's nothing there. If they had a compelling story to tell, maybe this would make the match a little bit more desirable to watch, but there's no story here. And both these women are not very good, or not, I'm not going to say not very good. They're not very experienced in being able to carry a great match. And on a big stage like SummerSlam, that match on Saturday could be a disaster if they're not careful. So those are my thoughts on that. Anyway, I'll have a lot more coming here on the channel in advance of SummerSlam. We'll have individual previews for both nights. Obviously, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. There'll be AEW this week. Thanks, everybody who subscribes to this channel. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.